Greetings, everyone. Who are we? We are America Sustainability Educational Alliance, Inc. Dr. Carlos Calcador is the founder and CEO. He is originally from Puerto Rico and he is a doctor in business administration with a specialization in social impact. He also has a master's in business administration in accounting and business management and a bachelor's in business administration in human resources management and personal administration. I am Dr. Nanishka Hernandez, ASEA Inc.'s co-founder and vice president, and together we are creating, developing, supporting, and facilitating sustainability education and overseeing ASEA's educational programs. Who are we? Our objectives today are to spread the word on what is America Sustainability Educational Alliance Inc. or ASEA Inc. We will be discussing a few topics such as why ASEA Inc. We will also be introducing our board of directors and talking about our sustainability and educational programs such as ASEA OTC, OMA, SME, and R&D. Explaining our objectives and action plan and how we're going to achieve those goals and what are our next steps. So, yes, we can, and let's do it. What is America Sustainability Educational Alliance, Inc.? ASEA Inc. is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promote and reinforce sustainability practices through diverse educational programs. We are registered in Florida and we are dedicated to our community by supporting sustainability education for all generations and by assisting entrepreneurs in developing sustainable operations. In addition, we want to spread positive social change through the education of our participants and our communities. In order to do that, we have developed four programs: ASEA OTC, focusing on teens and children; ASEA OMA, focusing on mature adults; ASEA SME, focusing on small and medium enterprises; ASEA R&D, focusing on research and development. All these programs were created with sustainability concepts in mind for individuals and communities seeking a balance among three key components: the community, the environment, and the economy. And we will discuss them further later on. Why ASEA Inc.? In America Sustainability Educational Alliance Inc., we believe sustainability is the lifespan of human race. We support communities and businesses, and we work for a society free of economic inequalities. The theory of sustainability, among other things, teaches and guides us to solve our problems, which are limitless in nature, responsibly and effectively using available resources as these are limited in nature and necessary for present and future generations. In addition, the socioeconomic theory forces us to consider the balance between the benefit of society, environmental protection, and fiscal security or economic development. ASEA is headed by a dynamic group of volunteer professionals that are committed to provide assistance to the community, the environment, and businesses in the educational and sustainable fields. The board of directors consists of Dr. Carlos Carcador, CEO and founder, Dr. Andres Roman, the president, Dr. Nanishka Hernandez, Vice President and Co-founder, Ms. Chandra Stringer, Vocal Legal and Permits, Mrs. Olga Cabrera, Coach and Business Development Advisor, Mr. Santos Arroyo, Business Development, Mr. Manny Tejada, Volunteering and Internship Program, Mr. Daniel Galan Cercado, Volunteering and Government Relationship Advisor. Our teens and children's are the golden nuggets of our society. We should educate the minds of our younger generations for a sustainable future. ASEA is committed with the implementation of strategies based in the research and education in topics of sustainability. The sustainability theory mandates to solve our current problems without jeopardizing the resources that will be needed by future generations. Through the education of our children and teens in topics of sustainability, stimulating the critical analysis for solutions of our current social issues, such as the economic and social inequalities. So some of the facts is that the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, two landmark agreements adopted by the international community in 2015, send a clear message that the prevailing development pattern is not effective from the perspective of three dimensions of sustainable development: economic, social, and environmental, thus calling into question the future of humanity. So some economic inequalities is 1 in 5 people live on less than 1.99 a day. The Pan American Health Organization in 2012 and the World Health Organization in 2013 described poverty in Latin America as a common issue and significantly widespread. According to the economic data provided by the United Nations, approximately 1 in 5 people live on less than 1.99 a day. The same demographic data show us that about 15% of the U.S. population live below the poverty line, while 10.5% of the population of Canada lives in the same economic conditions. In order to combat social inequalities, we need to promote sustainability education at the earliest stage of our lives. That's why our program ASEA OTC promotes teens and children education and practicing topics of sustainability and entrepreneurship. ASEA OMA, our mature adults, the pillars of our society. We should foment the use of technology and support them to move ahead for them to be able to communicate with the younger generations. Some general facts is that we are a society of an aging population by 2030, and more than 71.3 million Americans will be older than 65. Likewise, high rates of chronic illness will surpass the ratio of 50% of the American adult population. The highest cost of chronic disease treatment and the critical shortages on healthcare workforce and the geographic distributions of health providers will impact our elderly population, increasing the isolation factor. The government officials have recognized the need to prioritize the elevation of social isolation and loneliness in older people. Vincent and Belkoff, 2010. According to the literature review, the use of technology is providing information that lets the older adults face more easily the difficulties of modern life, encroaching the limits of their social and emotional isolation, thus achieving a better quality of life. With the objective to achieve quality life for our older generation, the facilitators of the program ASEA OMA began an informative campaign for 6 months that aims to show the importance and the value of technology in the care of mature adults. All the process will be based in search of social balance between the communities, the environment, and the economy. ASEA SME, small and medium enterprises, as you know, quality, service, and cleanliness of our businesses is key for success. We should maximize the resources for a sustainable future. ASEA is committed to promote sustainable business by entrepreneurs within the small and medium enterprise category, assisting entrepreneurs in the food service industry that comprises restaurants, fast food, cafeterias, delicatessen, delivery, catering service, among others. The scope of our effort encompasses food safety, cost controls, profit centers. Among these are business elements directly associated to restaurant business success or failure. The implementation of sustainable measures through the food service industry have positive effects on society, as the creation of jobs, the prevention of diseases transmitted by food, contribute to indexes of labor and economic productivity, the prevention of restaurant closings, among others. Because the industry of food service is fragile by the vulnerability of health risks and of production, depends on the best practices. We expect to accomplish the right balance among the communities, environment, and the small and medium enterprises dedicated to the food service sector. ASEA Research and Development, R&D. Our team of researchers will explore how current technology acquaints ASEA OTC, ASEA OMA, and ASEA SME to our programs. Our researchers have already worked in many of the areas and will bring their expertise to ASEA's programs. If you go to americasustainability.org ASEA R&D, you will find some of the publications our researchers have worked on already in many of the areas that we will be covering through ASEA's programs. Something to think about while we continue through the presentation. These are some foods for thoughts, and it was by Jonathan Sachs, and he said, "Our community could not exist for a day without its volunteers. They are the lifeblood of our organizations, whether they involve welfare, youth, education, care of the sick and elderly, or even protection against violence and abuse." Our objectives and action plans, and to continue talking about facts and education and sustainability issues, we can understand how attitudes and interests is an important target. For example, the human being is born unable to defend himself, and their skills and abilities are limited. However, through a sustainable education, the individual can ensure a better quality of life, and the community integration will emerge as a response to the social needs of all human beings, and its purpose will never oppress, decrease, or denature the individual. Its purpose is to enlarge the capacity of human beings to sustain as to become a better well-being and productive person, therefore developing an entrepreneurial attitude. Consequently, the education pursues that humans acquire knowledge, learn, and develop skills and assimilate established standards of conduct in pursuit of a productive society, as said by Hale 2015, with a financial planning for a society free of economic inequalities and a successful future. So how are we going to achieve our goals? So let me give you more facts on education and sustainability issues. So finding the attitudes and interests. The dropout rate from public schools in some states, including Puerto Rico, ranges from between 30 and 45%. The negative cost to society of school dropouts is very expensive. We need to examine ideas for the business community. Over the years, if not decades, public education has been questioned its effectiveness to achieve the goal of total individual training him away from poverty and dependence on government pathetic. It has taught us to work for other, depriving the individual to experiment the idea of self-employment, entrepreneurship, and other practices of individual support. We need to provide mentorship with successful programs to lower the levels of schooling resorts and avoid higher rate of unemployment, violence, and crime. We need to form a teamwork to launch internationally in order to promote the
policies of the almost universal acquisition of education and sustainable strategies to contribute to equity and productivity by the World Bank in 2016. By providing continuous training and development, this broader concept of lifelong learning is not only promoted by our team, but widely by the United Nations Education, Science and Culture Organization, UNESCO, the Organization for Cooperation and Economic Development, OECD, and the European Commission, as well as by the World Bank in 2016. So let's do it. Some more food for thoughts. These are great quotes, but the reality of inequalities is a relationship between the sectors, incomes, and the quality of employment. So I believe primary and secondary education is the bedrock of any sustainable society by Nita Ambami. And you can have a sustainable US economy without a great education system. Teach students to do the job right. You don't have an innovative economy unless you have a great education. By Walter Isaacson. So here are some of those examples for reality of inequalities. We discussed already 1 in 5 people live on less than $1.99 a day from the Pan American Health Organization in 2012. The poverty in Latin America is a common issue and significantly widespread from the World Health Organization in 2013. And about 15% of the US population lives below the poverty line, while 10.5% of the population of Canada lives in the same economic conditions by the World Health Organization 2013. And Florida economic problems hit more Hispanics in the US is what the Research Institute of Social and Economic Policy is saying in 2015. So historically, they said African American and Latin American workers are more vulnerable to the economic fluctuations. While the white community, not Latin, lowered its unemployment rate in 2011 to 7.8, the Latinos are suffering unemployment at 11.6, and 17% of Americans still not be able to find work. Close to 1 out of 10 people was unemployed last year in Florida, as well as in the first 6 months of 2012. The State of the Work on Florida in 2012 report shows a marked inequality in labor force by the Research Institute of Social Economy in 2015. So what are we going to do? What are our next steps? So our next steps. On the first semester, we want to accomplish a couple of things like identifying schools and universities, identifying the help in the community, establishing relationships with the community integration, business classification, and the word of mouth. And then on our second semester, we would like to find external evaluators, identify resources, select working groups and, like students and trainers, find a budget, set up the workshops, start the program's implementation, and then we will do an analysis. In addition, we would like to present our partners that has helped us to these programs. Puerto Rican Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Quantum Consulting Group, Jimenez Accounting Services, and Tecno Abuelos. So, are you with us? Let's do it. How you can help us achieve these goals? Please join us in spreading positive social changes through the education of our participants and our communities. For more information, please visit our webpage, americasustainability.org. And remember, together we can make a difference. Thanks for your support.